Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm gonna tell you everything about crafting and gathering in Lost Ark. I will tell you how it's unique in this game, same as it is basically in every other MMORPG. They all have their unique twist on it. How it works in Lost Ark is that there are 6 professions, if you want to call them like that. The game calls them life skills: herbalism, lumbering, mining, hunting, fishing, and archaeology. Herbalism deals with plants, and it's the one that this character of mine has spec the points into. Lumbering deals with wood, mining deals with rocks, hunting deals with hunting animals around the world, fishing is about fishing, and archaeology is an interesting profession, something that I have never seen in any other MMORPG I've played, in which you become an archaeologist. Same as you see in the tooltip, you have some sort of a sonar and you hunt treasures around the world or around maps, and then you dig them out, right? And you get archaeology supplies and pretty interesting loot. Now, the main thing about crafting and gathering in Lost Ark is that you are never locked into one specific trait. Like, for example, this character has herbalism. I have spent a lot of points into herbalism and unlocked these perks, but I can at any time reset, either with this ticket that I coincidentally have one in my bag, or with diamonds that you can either purchase with gold or real money. So in reality, crafting and gathering in Lost Ark is not one profession per character. You chose that, you've maxed it out, and now you're a herbalist for the rest of your life. You can tomorrow be a lumberer or a miner, right? It depends on what the economy needs at that specific time. It depends on what you find interesting to do in the game. Maybe you've played as a herbalist for 6 months and you're bored of it already. You can just become a lumberer and do that for the next couple of months, and then an archaeologist, etc. So it's an interesting way, an interesting take on crafting and gathering in general in Lost Ark. Yeah. Now, I've mentioned points, I've mentioned perks, and I've also mentioned that you can reset at any time these points and perks, right? Let's tie all of these pieces of information together. How it works in Lost Ark is same as in every other MMORPG, really. You start with a profession, whatever you choose to start with, let's say herbalism for the purpose of this video, and you gather plants. You start with level 1, tier 1 plants, and then you move on to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, up until tier 6, which is the last tier, the hardest plants to gather in that sense. Each plant gathered gives you experience which accumulates here in this bar. Same as killing mobs gives you normal XP to level up, gathering plants gives you XP to have more points. When you fill up a full level of experience, don't worry, it doesn't take so long as leveling does, but when you fill one up, you get a specific number of life skill points that you can assign in one of these perks. Crafting and gathering in Lost Ark is all about these points. There is nothing to it. So once you have accumulated enough of these points to assign in the perks, you can always reset the points and assign these points into other profession, and then you have become a miner or a hunter after you've been a herbalist for a long time, right? So it's all about these points. These points can also be acquired from other activities inside the game, such as achievements or affinity towards some merchants, sea and water content. A couple of dungeons have rewards at specific tiers that give you one of these bottles. I don't have one in my bag right now, but it's a bottle that gives you a couple of life skill points. The more skill points you gather, the more you can assign in these perks for each profession, and then eventually you're gonna want to assign the extra points on top of the perks to these masteries right here. What people do, and how is the best way to do it, is that you pick one of the 3 masteries depending on what you want to do with that profession, right? In my case, in herbalism, I have picked the mastery that gives me extra plants for each plant I gathered, extra resources, right? Everyone, 99% of the people that play herbalist play this mastery as well and assign as many points into this mastery as possible. I currently have 8 points in this mastery, and 8 points here gives me a 37.5% chance of getting more materials for each plant gathered. However, I am not maxed out. I hope you can see under my cam right here. I am level 44 in my life skill crafting adventure, right? You can go to level 50 here, and on top of that, as I told you, there is bottles of points that you can get from other activities in the game, which this particular character has not acquired yet. So there's quite many points that you can assign here in these masteries, and masteries are what makes the profession 100% worth it. There was no masteries at the beginning of Lost Ark. They've added this system later to make the whole crafting thing a little bit more updated, more interesting, more intricate, but this is what matters here. You get through all of these basic perks just so you can get to the masteries. Yeah, gathering these resources is either done in the open world. As I told you, there are many places where you can gather, even including rank 6 gatherables out in the world, but most people, what they do is they go to one of the 2 gathering dungeons that are available in Lost Ark. These gathering dungeons, on top of the fact that they give you more materials per plant gathered, they also give you double the XP per plant gathered. So these dungeons that you can access from the Shillian command board, these 2 are very important in your character's development in terms of gathering. You can speed up the process of leveling up a profession way faster than you would do it out in the normal world, just because of the double XP, etc. And as I've told you, masteries and assigning points into them are very important. So is the fact that you can get more resources from a particular plant. Now these 2 dungeons, they cost tickets to enter, 2 Shillian tickets per 1 entry of the dungeon. And these Shillian tickets, you receive 3 per account every 24 hours. So let's say once in 2 days you have 6 tickets, means you can do 3 of these dungeon runs on your character, consuming all of these tickets that you have. Yeah, there are 2 of these dungeons simply because if you look here in the rewards that they offer, one of them is, there's 6 professions, right, in total. So this one gives you pelts, fishes, and you have these slabs for archaeology. So inside this dungeon you would want an archaeologist, a fisherman, and a hunter, right? The other dungeon gives you stones, gives you flowers that herbalists use, gives you logs that lumberers use. So they've made 2 of them with different kind of resources inside, so that all 6 professions in the game would have a nice time and a nice wiggle room inside the party, because there's no point in going with a 4-man all of the same profession in one of these dungeons, because resources in there are limited, and at the end of the day you want 1 guy per profession per dungeon, right? Cool. So these are the places that you get. What do you receive from crafting and gathering, and why is it so important? Well, it's very simple. Gold in Lost Ark as a resource is the most important thing in the game, period. There is nothing else in this game that's more important than gold. And from crafting and gathering, you can make a nice amount of gold. Crafting and gathering is in the top 3, not in the first 2 best ways of making gold in game, but at number 3 best way of making this gold. What people do is, as I told you, you receive 3 of those Shillian tickets per account per 24 hours. What people do that really want to push their characters into crafting and grinding and really make gold out of it is they have 4 or 5 different accounts. Your item level does not matter when you are doing these crafting dungeons. It's just your crafting level that matters. And if you have a variety of accounts all leveled up in terms of the life level, the crafting, then you can easily do 4 or 5 accounts per day and do those dungeons, and the gold that you make, you can just send it over to one account, and this is how people make money out of crafting and gathering. Having only one account that does this is never gonna bring you the results that you're actually looking for. It's never gonna make you rich. You are gonna make nice gold out of it if you enjoy it, but being rich from one account doing crafting and gathering, it's not gonna happen. Now, gold, as I've told you, the most important resource, and let me show you also what people can make, what different professions can make out of their materials. Every single profession makes different things in the game. Herbalists, for example, which is also one of the most popular professions, they can make potions. potions in Lost Ark are a very rare commodity. You don't really find potions that you can use in raiding, which is the most important PvE thing in game, somewhere just laying around. There are a little bit of potions on the cash shop, however they are too few in order to supply your daily need of potions. So from herbalism, you visit an NPC, and then when you have gathered enough materials and a couple of things from the general merchant, which are very cheap, you can make yourself some really nice potions that you can sell for gold or use yourself. Different professions make different things. For example, lumbering makes signal flares, which are super important, especially in later stages of raiding, and people buy them. Again, signal flares, sure, you can get them from some calendar rewards, a little bit in the cash shop, 5 pieces maybe per 3 days, but that's definitely not nearly enough for what you need. And it goes the same with every other profession. These combat goods, these consumables are super important in terms of raiding, and I don't mean super important as other MMORPGs do it. Hey, it's super important, but you really don't have to use them. In Lost Ark, you actually have to use these consumables, and people actually buy these consumables because they are almost right there a must in order for you to, let's say, do good in content and finish content. And everyone that knows anything about raiding, they use these consumables that can be crafted, right? And the supply of them in the cash shop or somewhere else is extremely limited. On top of everything, on top of these gold making perks that crafting and gathering gives you in Lost Ark, you also get gear. So for the first 6 months of this MMORPG, you can be completely self-sufficient with crafting and gathering in terms of gearing up and keeping up with your friends, etc. There is a merchant, same as when you make pots or consumables from your looted things from your profession. There is another merchant that if you give him the necessary materials, he creates for you a piece of gear that later on you can upgrade and enchant, same as everyone else does, so you can keep up with them. They have 3 tiers of gear from crafting and dungeons and gathering. Obviously, it's not gonna last you until the end game of end games. You still have to do at one point something else, but for the first 6 months, maybe even more, of Lost Ark, you can be self-sufficient relying on your crafted and gathering gear. Mats to upgrade this gear that you can possibly get from crafting and gathering are also found in crafting and gathering. As you gather and as you improve your tier, you get secret map pieces which you can later on exchange from another merchant with an actual map. These maps, when you go inside these maps, you can probably get maybe one of these maps per day or one of these maps per 2 days. You get a buttload of crafting materials and very important materials to upgrade your crafting gear with, right? And that's about everything I wanted to talk in terms of crafting and gathering in Lost Ark. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you wanna try this lovely MMORPG and try the crafting and gathering before it comes out in the West, see maybe how it goes, if you can find a profession that you actually like, so you can be ready with doing that in the actual release. I have my link in the description below that teaches you, it's a video that teaches you everything you need to know on how to play Lost Ark with us currently in Russia. Yeah, lots of love guys, thank you so much for watching again, stay safe and see you really soon.